You can go.
All right. Hello, my name is Brent Young. I am a graduate student at Adelphi University. Today is April 17th, and I'm here speaking with Angelica, who is also a graduate student at Adelphi, and we are working together on this year's social action project. So, hi, Angelica. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Brent?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So, to start things off, I'm going to ask, how do you think historical and cultural factors have influenced gender roles within families?
Yeah, so I believe that gender roles within families stem historically for many reasons. So one of the reasons is that, back then the role of women and males differs from today's society. Men back then were always viewed as the breadwinner, and they would have qualities of quote unquote the alpha male, whereas the female will stay home doing chores and caring for the family.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen that too. So do you believe the traditional division of labor in families, where men are viewed as the breadwinners and women are care relevant today?
Well, I don't really believe in the traditional divisions of labor in families where, men are viewed as, like I said previously, as breadwinners and women as caregivers. Some families practice the traditional division of labor, but I believe in today's society, the family dynamics have changed. Um, so where now we're starting to see males are becoming more the caregivers and females are the breadwinner, or in some case, both the male and the female are doing the same role and taking on the same duties.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how do you think the COVID-19 pandemic has affected that division of labor within families?
So I think, since the COVID-19, the pandemic has affected the division of labor within families, and it created a dramatic, shift. So during the pandemic, it has been shown that women became more of the breadwinners while the males stayed home as the caregivers. So that was a dramatic shift from back then and, now to COVID-19.
Interesting. Yeah. Do you think are some of the factors that contribute to the unequal distribution of household chores between men and women?
So, some factors contributing to the unequal distributions of household chores between men and women is that, women may have more chores like dishwashing, mopping, or sweeping than men. The male would most likely have, quote, like mainly like duties and fewer chores to intake.
Mm. And have you noticed any differences in how male and female children are expected to contribute in the household chores?
What is the difference in how male and female children are expected to contribute to household chores? Growing up with more females than males can show many examples of gender inequality within families. For instance, when it comes to caregiving, the female in my household will participate more than the males. So the thought of the male doing, the female like duties, may be challenging for them.
Mm. And how do you think the pandemic has impacted how partners share household and childcare responsibilities?
That's a good question. So the pandemic impacted the partners' share household and child care responsibility, because before the pandemic, like I said before, we were so used to the parent splitting roles and duties. Still now, since the pandemic has, forced families to stay together in one place, so that may be challenging. But the pandemic has made both parents take in the same responsibility and have more a teamwork, um, factor to it.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. So what steps do you think can be taken to promote gender equity within families and to ensure that household labor is more evenly distributed?
Yeah, so I believe that breaking that gender equality begins at home, right? And females are at the front lines of change. So for the next generation, the examples set at home by parents, caregivers, and extended families are shaping the way they think about gender and equality. So one of those ways to break down gender stereotype is to share the care work and educate children about women's right and gender equality. So talking about it and sharing the work are some few examples that that may ensure that household labor is more evenly distributed. Still, the family has to be open and hear each other's thoughts and willing to work on it. So if that happens, then definitely, it can be even more equal rights within families in the household.
Right, right, yeah. Nice. Okay, well, that's all the questions I have, Angelica. So I just want to thank you for your time. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your thoughts.
Thank you so much, Brent. Thank you for having me today.
Of course.
Alrighty, have a good one.
You too.